What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Kramer, and in this video, I'm going to be going on a little bit of a rant about how an Airbnb host screwed me over. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. All right, so just to give you guys some context here, I was looking for an Airbnb in Chicago for 3 months because my girlfriend, she's in grad school, so she has these rotations where she has to do 3 months in one city, 3 months in another city, and so on and so forth. So Chicago is one of the cities that she has been assigned. So we're moving there for 3 months in September of 2024. So as an Airbnb host and a midterm rental host myself, these types of stays are right up my alley. I know, like, this is literally this is what I do. I host people who need places to stay for this time frame. I'm super excited about it. So I went to the 2 sites that are most prevalent. Number 1, Furnish Finder. Number 2, Airbnb. So on Furnish Finder, there wasn't any properties that was in the exact location that we want. We want to be on the specific train line, and there just wasn't any. So we then looked at Airbnb, and there were some properties that were in the exact location that we wanted. And there was one specific property that was literally perfect. It was in a great neighborhood. The property was super nice, and it was a pretty reasonable price. The only problem is when we looked at their calendar, I could tell that they had a week blocked off in the middle of our stay. So just for easy number sakes, let's just say we're going from September 1st to December 1st. They had a stay for 1 week in October, which means it's no longer available for us to book it from September 1st to December 1st. But we weren't exactly sure why those dates were blocked out. Obviously, you could probably assume that they had a reservation for that week, but we decided to reach out anyways and say, hey, we noticed that there was like a block in the calendar. Are you guys still available to host us for 3 months straight? And they said yes. So then when we tried to book, they said, oh, wait, no, we actually have a reservation. We can't host you for that 3 months. So we said, okay, totally understand. Like, we figured you had a reservation that week. Is there any way you can move those people to your other unit? Because they had another unit downstairs. Because we wanted to be there for 3 months. Those people only want to be there for a week. We figured they might want to do that. Well, unfortunately, the host said, no, we cannot move them. The unit's not available for 3 months. I'm sorry. And also, kind of a side note here, since I am a real estate investor, again, I do Airbnb, I know a few tricks up my sleeve. So I was able to actually get the owner's phone number, called them, and actually had that conversation with him over the phone about trying to move that previous guest who booked for a week into a different unit. But anyways, we then noticed that on Airbnb, they had another unit available, and the unit was the basement of this property that we were looking at. So it was still a great location. It wasn't as nice as the upstairs unit that we wanted, but it was way less money. So honestly, it was totally worth it. So we go ahead and we book it on Airbnb for 3 months, and we locked it in. We start celebrating. We're all excited. Next thing you know, I get a phone call. Because like I said, I called them originally, so they called me back. And they said, hey, I am so sorry about this. But unfortunately, the unit that you rented is actually not available. And I was like, what do you mean it's not available anymore? I just booked it literally a few minutes ago. And he honestly came up with a bunch of BS excuses. He said, oh, we don't really want a reservation ending December 1st because it's going to be harder for us to re-rent it. He said his mom might move into the property, so they want to just keep it open. They might want to do a long-term rental. He just came up with a bunch of excuses. I don't know what his real reason was, but he didn't want the reservation. So what he told me is what we could do is we can rent out that upstairs unit that we originally wanted from September 1st all the way up till that October date. But then when those people come in October, we have to move out for a week. And then after a week, we can move back in. And honestly, it was just such a hassle to do it. And also the amount of money we'd have to spend for that week that we'd be kicked out of the property for a week was so much money that it was not worth it. So unfortunately, we had to look at other places. And to be honest, the options for properties weren't great. We found one other property that was in a great location. It was kind of pricey, but we were willing to do it. But the problem was it didn't have an oven, it didn't have a stove, it didn't have a washer, and it didn't have a dryer. So those are huge things that we're like, all right, we're not going to pay this huge premium and not have any of these basic amenities. So we ended up settling for property. It's in a pretty good location. The price is honestly kind of high, but we do like the location. The real big downsides is it's not really that nice, and we don't need like luxury or anything. It's just kind of small, and it's just all right. And the location is good, but it's not great. So we kind of just settled for a decent location that's walking distance to a lot of the places we want to go to, and we're going to make it happen. And the one other thing that I was really excited about was this new place that we got does have a garage. And I was really nervous about bringing my car because my car is literally like my baby. So I wanted to make sure that I had a parking spot for it. And in Chicago, from what I've been told, you don't want to park in the street, you want a garage. So that was a huge plus that the garage was also in. So the one other thing that I was thinking about too was, wow, what if I buy a place in this city? And honestly, with the short-term rental regulation in this specific city, with the taxes in this specific city, I'm just not in a place to just buy a place for the 3 months and then just have to rent it afterwards. I do think this city that we're going to in Chicago is a great Airbnb market because, again, I'm a classic person looking to come into the city for a couple months in the off season, or not really the off season, but definitely not peak season. And the options were so limited. So definitely plenty of potential. That was kind of cool to see. But so that's the story about how I kind of got screwed over by an Airbnb host. But ultimately, we made it work, and we'll be heading down to Chicago in a couple months. All right, I was just watching the video back, and I just realized I forgot to put this in. I'm putting it in now. But this is the ultimate reason why I talk so much about a midterm rental pricing strategy. I have tons of videos talking about it, but the fact that those first hosts couldn't host us because they had one 7-night booking when we were going to book for 90 nights, they lost out on a lot of money, and they had to put in a lot more work to get the other days filled. They have to do more cleans, more turns, a lot more headache with it. So this is why I preach having a midterm rental pricing strategy in place and making sure you have minimum night stay settings set up properly. That way you can optimize your properties to get longer stays, which will make you more money and require less turnover. All right, just wanted to add that in. So that's the story. I'll see you guys later. Peace.